Are leases going away? Well, if some senators have their way, they are, and I hope they have their way. So I was sitting there going through the news the other day, and there was several senators that are trying to sponsor a bill that would end basically truck leasing to predatory truck leasing. Truck leasing as we know it, when you only have one customer and you're basically beholden to the people who are giving you loads. The typical lease that you're going now. And I hate talking about this because I talk about this a lot, but I hope it ends. Looks like the Ryan Steakhouse is closed. That's too bad. Over here in Mount Vernon, it's about 2 o'clock. They closed the restaurant at the TA, so all there is that nasty Popeyes. And still says there's a Denny's here, but we'll find out. So they reopened the Denny's, and it was good. So let's get back to the truck leasing. Look, I've talked about this ad nauseum, and it's like people just don't get it. I'm not against guys owning trucks, and I really wish there was a lease program that would allow people to realistically own one. But when they're talking about predatory, these leases are never designed for you to own that truck. And by the time you're just about got it paid off, it's shagged, and they're gonna want you to get a new one. Or if it breaks down, they're gonna want you to get a new one. They don't want you to own that truck. That's why they got walk-away leases. That's why they got 7-year leases. That truck, if it takes 7 years to pay off that truck, it's not worth doing, seriously. Now, the big fear that I have is that they'll stop these leasing programs and just call them something different. They're no longer leasing programs. They'll be rent to own or something stupid like that. So this is a really slippery slope that we're on. So what do I mean by predatory? Well, that's also a slippery slope. If you were to take that lease that they won't give you to a lawyer and have him go over it, it would take him 2 weeks to go through it line by line and figure out all the loopholes. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. They want you to sign that lease at the end of the first day. They hit the high points, but my big fear, if they do rent to own, it's going to be more restrictive. It's going to be more expensive because suddenly the truck is a rental, and it's going to be just, instead of from the bottom up, it'll be the top down, but you're still going to be in the middle stuck. And whenever the government starts talking about things like this is when I start going, So, it's just, and truthfully, I talk about this before ad nauseum. Why would you lease a truck when you can buy one cheaper? Now, I know what you're saying. Well, this is a no money down. This is this is that. Yes, and if you've listened to my videos before, you'll know that if you actually do the math, you're going to buy the truck, and then your balloon payment, you're going to buy the truck. A 4-year-old Freightliner is only worth about $40,000. That's all they're worth, $35,000 and $40,000. That's it. your balloon payment's going to be somewhere between 40 and 60, and you're going to pay $205,000 for that lease on a $189,000 truck if you got it brand new. But let's start talking about predatory leases. Now, one of the things with AB5 that why lease drivers legally can't go to California, you can haul freight in, but you have to go out empty. So if you're leased to a company and all you're doing is pulling their trailers, you're not legally allowed to go out of California with freight. And I know guys do, but truthfully, read AB5. You do not satisfy the agreements. You have to have more than one customer. Your customer, if you're leased, is the person you're leased to. I cannot legally load in California because I have one customer. Yes, I own the truck outright. Title's in my name. It's sitting somewhere in the house. But probably ought to go look for that. But since I don't have more than one customer or more than one person I haul for, I do not satisfy the requirements. Now here's the thing: if I had my own authority, I could do it because I can haul trailers with other names. So this is kind of, that's why a lot of these owner-operators in California, that's why you're finding guys, like they're busting those guys with 400, 500, and 600 different LLCs to one address, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to get around that AB5 so they can haul all the freight out of California they want because, well, California is a clown show. It's a clown show. But let's get back to the predatory part. Part of the predatory part is selling you the dream. I think that's the part that I have the biggest problem with. A lot of these guys really want to own their own trucks. I mean, if you really got to drive for it, why not? You know, they really want to own their own trucks. They have a dream to be independent. They've seen all the shows. They want to own that truck. I get it. I'm on my third one. So you're selling them a dream, and you're sitting there talking about the exception and not the rule. You're sitting there hyping them up with BS. Now, I'll tell you right now, I was a trainer. I almost pulled that recruiter outside behind and took him behind the woodshed. Some of these recruiters are just scum of the earth. I'm not even going to argue with you on that. These guys are scum of the earth. Selling you the dream. They are just salesmen, but what they're selling is you. They're selling you an idea. They're not selling you anything tangible. So that's where it starts. And then they end up getting you trapped. That's what they want. They want an owner-operator on a company wage. And if you really look at what they're paying and what they're doing, it's forced dispatch. No, they say you can, it's not forced dispatch if you're a lease driver and owner. It is. You're going to sit there, you're going to get behind on one lease payment, and they're going to make it very clear this is what's going to happen. And if you're an astute young man who's desperately wanting to own that truck, you're going to play ball. The problem is, the system's already rigged against you. But you're young, you're idealistic, you want to own that truck, so you're going to do exactly what they say, and they're going to drive you into the poorhouse. So basically what they're trying to do is stop these people from showing you all the sizzle and never giving you the steak. That's what they're trying to do. You know, the government's trying to do. Now, I just like AB5, which wasn't even aimed at truckers to begin with. If the government gets involved, I can't wait to see how it backfires and screws everything up for people like me. I'm not in a predatory lease. I can leave anytime I want. And here's the thing about a lot of these leases, and I've talked about this before ad nauseum. So they build you up, they take all of your money, they put it in escrow. And mind you, they're doing this, some of these companies are doing this on 200, 300, 400 trucks. And so while all that money's in escrow, they're getting interest on it. They're making money on your money. Don't anybody tell you wrong. Some of these companies are going out there, like one company out of Colorado, holy crap, a buddy of mine calls me up and says, this is what they offered, 65%, and you pay for the trailer fuel, the reefer fuel. I said, if you do that, you're an idiot. He started explaining all this, and I was like, no. I said, if you work for these people, you're an idiot. And where they really get you is on the fuel. They give you all these different options. Trekker's got 3 different options. I read through them. And the worst sounding one is actually the best one. It's the one where you're going to get the most money out of it. But that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to transfer all the cost from them to you. You're not costing them anything. You're paying all the bills. You're pulling their freight. And they're keeping the lion's share of the money. Sounds pretty predatory to me. So, like I said, this is kind of a slippery slope. And I would really, I'm going to keep an eye on this to see what's going to be coming down the pike in terms, and what they're calling predatory. It's just, like I've said this before, the whole concept to me is just bad. The no money down things, I've seen too many guys not read their lease because they don't give you time. And next thing you know, they end up doing the walk-away lease, and then they walk away broke. So what ends up happening is you decide the same for you. You've saved $10,000, $12,000 in your escrow. So you're going to walk away, you're going to take that money with you, and you're just going to go back to being a company driver or go back. So then all of a sudden they're like, oh, wait a minute, you went over your mileage for a lease. That's right. You've got mileage requirements for a lease. Oh, we got to prorate the brakes. We got to prorate the tires. We got to, look for damage. We got to fix this. We got to fix it. Which, mind you, they're not doing any of that. They're charging you. They're prorating everything because it was a new truck when you got it. And next thing you know, if you're lucky, you walk away with a third of it, a quarter of it. There's been instances where guys end up owing money. It's true. So it's that kind of stuff that really just that's why I hate it. So is there such a thing as a good lease? Look, I'd be all for leasing if it was something that was actually attainable. If there was a clear-cut plan at a reasonable cost that would allow you to own that truck at the end of your term. Like after 3 years, it's paid for. Kind of like making payments, but you're doing it backwards. You're leasing the truck, but once you've made the last payment, the last lease, after 3 years, it's yours. Kind of like a reverse mortgage kind of thing. If there was a company that was more interested in moving freight than screwing guys on trucks, I would be sending you guys that want a lease. I'd be sending you there. That's it. And I've said this before, the closest lease I've seen to one that's actually attainable, seriously, is Swift. I've heard a lot of guys say, it's not good, it's not bad, it is. You make a fair amount, you're not going to get rich, but you ain't going to go broke. And in fact, that YouTuber, This Guy Trucks, he did a lease at Swift, talked all about it. Did all right. Said it wasn't good, it wasn't bad. It was, but he said the one thing that impressed me was he said, this company did everything they promised. I like that. But that still doesn't mean I'm going to go out and endorse their lease program. But if you have to do a lease, that's the best one I have found looking at all of them. I've met quite a few people who have worked there and have absolutely loved it. I've seen more people who have actually finished out their lease there. But yeah, so I don't see predatory leasing going away anytime soon. Like I said, I will figure that they will probably, if they get away with predatory leasing, they'll probably change it, the wording, and make it more like a rent-to-own, which will be more expensive, which will be more prohibitive, and it's just going to be semantics. But if this legislation passes and goes through, I'll be very interested, and I'm going to keep an eye on it, because truthfully, I'd hate to see. I want you guys to be successful. I want you guys to own your trucks. I want you guys to do well. But I've seen so many well-meaning kids and so many deserving kids get their dreams destroyed over a dream that was sold to them by people who know better. I sound like a broken record. I've talked about this quite a few times, a lot of times. And I'm very passionate about it. If I had a way that I could lobby to end lease purchase programs, I would absolutely do it in a minute. Here's the thing, if you end lease purchase programs, these companies are going to be forced to buy trucks, or there's going to be the market's going to be so saturated with trucks, you guys save $3,000 to $4,000, you'll probably be able to buy one. Because why would you pay $1,200 a week when you can pay $1,200 a month? That's not a joke. You got guys that are paying $12 to $15 a week, and my first truck was $400 a week, so it was what? $1,600 a month was my first truck. My second truck was $1,227 a month. So I didn't have a brand new truck either time, but I had a good truck. So I've talked about how to look for a good truck and all that other stuff on other videos. But I really I'm trying to look out for you guys. I mean, it doesn't sound like it, but I want you guys to be successful, and I want you guys to obtain that dream. I don't want to see you guys get screwed because you were sold a dream by people that knew better. So I've talked about this enough, so I appreciate it. Thanks for watching. See you next video.